Coach, for anybody on the outside looking into the program, what do you say when they see the one-win record and just all the injuries and the way things have gone? What do you say to somebody that is asking about it?
I'm just going to keep fighting and keep trying to coach these young men to make them better football players, to make them better men, and and keep believing in them, and then just realizing that we are pretty banged up right now, and we have a lot of new faces on the field playing, and that's good for our future because these young men are getting some reps that they normally probably wouldn't have gotten, and it's experience, and so it's good for our future. But right now we still got a 5-game season. Is how we're going to look at it, and some good things can really happen in these next 5 weeks if we really buckle down and focus on the little things. Because right now, when you look at these games, it's the little thing. It's the stupid penalties, the turnovers, the giving up the big plays, the missed tackles, all those little things like that have cost us these ball games, and some of these kids need to take some ownership. Is what I tell them as well, of seeing their mistakes and correcting their mistakes. And as coaches, us going back and looking in the mirror and, okay, what can I do better to help these young men out, and and trying to really focus in on, okay, how can I improve as a coach to make sure that these things quit and we end these things. But some of this stuff does go on to the kids as well, but I'm going to take blame for it like I always do, and when they win, I give all that glory to the kids, and when we lose, it's my fault, and I'll continue to take that blame until we get this thing turned around.
In 2012, your second season here, you also got off to a 1-5 start, but then you won 4 of your last 5 to kind of finish strong to the season. What do you remember from that year, and what can you take from that year to help you this time around?
I think the biggest thing at that time of year is, we were still in that building phase, and, kids were, trying to find ways to change things and to win ball games. I think they got tired of losing, and probably got tired of me being on them, constantly. These young men that we have right now have won a lot of ball games. Maybe not them themselves, but the guys before them, won conference championships, and and kind of maybe that entitlement of, we're going to step on the field and just win instead of putting in the work to win. That group worked. They were forced to work. It's just kind of and the same thing. We force these kids to work here too, but those kids had a different mentality. They were ready to make a change and make things happen, and that's what those kids did in 2012. Hopefully, these kids here in 2022 decide to make that same change. Continue to work and do things to make us better as a football team. But only time will tell, right? We got this week coming up, and we'll see how. And we got practice today, so we'll see how this practices go this week and how our kids respond and react, and do they make the changes necessary to win ball games, or do they continue doing what they're doing right now and making the mistakes and not doing the little things right. So hopefully the change comes today. We'll see. But I'm still going to coach them hard today, and I'm going to get after them today. They still should understand that I still care about them and I love them. Just because I'm getting on them doesn't mean I don't respect them or dislike them at all. It's all about making them better as a football player and as a man.
Central Oklahoma made a change, and also a big one with putting in the new coach this year. What do you see out of a new coach, but obviously the MIAA knows a lot about?
Just the way they play. When you first start, as you see each game, they get better every single game. You see them playing more physical now. You see them; they know what they're doing offensively now. They know what they're doing defensively. They're playing harder. They're playing faster. They're playing more physical. I think the Northwest win really gave them a big boost, in confidence as well. And you can just see that in how they play. But just Doral knowing this conference as well, and knowing all these coaches very well, and their systems and their schemes, and he's a great coach and he's smart, and he's going to get those guys playing hard every single week. But it's always kind of nice to have that new juice in there sometimes as a coach, and with the same kids and adding some of your own. So, but they'll be ready. They're going to be locked in. They're going to be focused, and they're going to play hard. And that's something our kids need to do as well. And I just wish we would take a little bit more ownership, for our actions as players, because I know as coaches we are, and making sure that we're doing everything possible and keep looking at ourselves of trying to get these kids better. But so hopefully our kids play hard this week, just like UCOs are, because those kids are playing confident right now. They're playing physical and they're playing aggressive, just like I would expect a normal Adam Doyle team to do.
Chance wasn't able to go last week with the injury. Status for this week for him, do you think he can see the field? And also, Hunter Bucky, what do you think about his status going?
Bucky's probably a little closer than Chance right now, so we'll see on both those guys. We just got to kind of start progressing them through just a little bit more, just to kind of see if they can actually manage, through a practice and get through a practice. If not, it might be the next week. So we're always praying for the best, but sometimes those prayers will never always get answered, and sometimes things happen and we don't know why. So we just got to keep believing in those kids and believing that they're doing the right things to try to get themselves back on the field, which I believe those two truly are, trying to get themselves back on the field. And it just comes down to rehab and how they feel. Again, we're not going to put a kid out there that we don't feel comfortable with his health and put him at any more risk than where he's at right now. So we're hoping for the best, but you never know going down the road. Just kind of sometimes injuries you recover faster than others, and then it takes a while. So we'll see what happens.
You said sometimes you don't know why things happen. Have you stepped back and looked at this season and gone, between injuries and a ball bouncing off a helmet into the air and a fumble into two, just the magnitude of things, the multitude of things, I should say. Have you ever stepped back and gone, man, what else can go wrong this year?
You do, but as the more you coach, the least surprise you get. I mean, that's because you pretty much see everything. It's just one of those years that we've never had a year where we've had this many injuries, this many turnovers, this many giving up big plays, and as a coach, you just kind of look back and reflect. Okay, what can I do better? And that's what even when we were winning, 11-0, that regular season, I was still contemplating what can I do better as a coach to make sure that these kids are prepared and these kids are ready. And I think as any guy on a football team or any man on a football team should do that. Even you talk about our OC, our DC, our position coaches, special teams coordinator. I mean, whatever it might be. Strength coach. Try to take ownership in what we're doing and why these things happen, and then players themselves. Are they really putting in the time necessary? To make these change and make these adjustments so these things don't happen. But yeah, sometimes you just don't know. And right now, it's a true test of character and who we are as a person, and what we do moving forward. Because life's full of adversity, and it's what you do with that adversity that makes you as a man. So hopefully, our kids really step up to the plate and step up to the challenge and hit it head on, and face it and deal with it and make things better. But that's what I'm looking to see right now is what kind of men do we truly have on this football team, coaches, players, across the board.
It seemed like on Saturday there was times where the offense just wasn't even on the same page, let alone in sync. Was there something different on Saturday? Was there communication differences? We saw guys kind of turn to the sideline sometimes with their hands out, just seeming like they weren't even sure what the play was.
No, it's the same thing we've always done. Of course, you always do change signal callers, and you got two different colors, and you make one live, one not live. But we didn't change on Saturday who the signal caller was, just to make it easy, for our young men. And sometimes it's just locking in focus and understanding what your job is and doing your job. I mean, there's a couple of times where the kids got the wrong signal, and you're like, how does that happen when we have the same signal caller, through the entire game? Usually we go into a game and possibly change just so they don't get into a routine of maybe being able to pick up and see your signals. So, I really don't know what was going on. To me, it was lack of focus, lack of effort, possibly a little bit of lack of heart, and and just motivation and willingness to change things. But on the other hand, we have a lot of young guys out there. We did play with some young guys at the end, and that was a blessing, and that was a bonus because we got to see what some of those young guys could do. And so now seeing that, if these older guys don't want to perform, and we might as well just roll with these young kids and get them ready for next year because, they did get in and do a good job. I mean, seeing Cure for the second week in a row, playing tight end, he improved tremendously. Does he have a few mistakes? Yeah, he's a freshman. He's going to make mistakes. Kel Cormany, same thing, going to make a few mistakes. But, as an older guy and seeing your seniors, they're making mistakes that, these freshmen should be making. And they shouldn't be, at this time. So it is frustrating as a coach, and sometimes you just learn what it is. I mean, what does this team mean to you, and how much are you willing to give to this team to make sure that these things don't happen? And right now, to be upfront honest, I don't know if some of them are really fully bought into what we're doing, and I think that's kind of rubbing off on a few other guys.
You mentioned that you haven't really seen a year like this previously with the amount of injuries that you had. Specifically the quarterback position, have you ever encountered something like that where you've had your starter, suffer through one injury, he comes back, he has another injury? And also, how is Chance handling that as far as frustration level that, he's just getting over one injury and maybe gets hurt again?
Never seen it, in all my years of coaching, and it's quite a long time. The older I get, I just keep remembering how much older I'm getting every single day. But, I've never seen anything happen to a young man like Chance, and it's sad for him. But the thing about Chance is he's still a team player, and he's going to do everything he possibly can to make sure that either Jack, Ethan, or whoever it is ready to play in these games and focused and understanding, what they're seeing. He's going to watch film with them. He's going to coach them up. He's going to get them ready. When they come off to the sideline, he's going to, kind of talk to them about what he's seeing and what, they should expect and where they're feeling the pressure from and all those different things. But he's still a coach on the field. I mean, though he's not playing, he's helping us with those young guys and still coaching them and getting them ready and preparing them, which is awesome for a young man like that because, kids in his situation sometimes, he's already graduated, getting ready to have his master's here in December. I'm injured, and you know what? I'm just going to kind of be done and walk away from it. But that's not that kid. He's got a great character. He's going to do things the right way. And he's going to try to finish this season now, and he's going to try to get himself back onto the field. And knowing Chance, you'll see him back on the field here pretty soon.
Over the years, you've testified to your faith many times in different forms. How much do you find yourself relying on that during a season like this?
I mean, you always rely on, you always count on him, and you always ask, you always have prayers asking for things, but really it's your test of faith right now, and really believing in him and trusting in him that this is all for a reason and for a purpose. And sometimes we don't know what that purpose is. Many times we don't know what that purpose is, but it's all in good faith and all in a good reason of why these things are happening to us, and whether it's to prepare these young men for their future or trying to grow these older men up to learn how to face adversity and, preparing these kids for life, or even as coaches kind of sitting back and saying, well, we need to do better. Is there relationships with these young men or the way we coach them or the things that we need to do to get better? But most of the time you don't know, and it's just, I think it brings you closer to them because maybe we're not listening close enough, and the quieter and stiller we get, the more we'll hear and the more we'll be able to know exactly what he's trying to tell us to do and what we should be trying to accomplish right now. And that's it. I mean, I walk my dogs every single morning, at 6 a.m. trying to figure out what exactly is going on and doing a lot of thought thinking and, and praying and, doing Bible plans and things like that to figure this thing out. But sometimes you just got to be still and listen. And sometimes he answers and sometimes he doesn't. And sometimes you won't know the answer until it's all said and done. And there it hits you right in the face, and that's why these things happen. But I'm still going to continue to believe and have faith, and and still going to try to continue to have these young men grow in their faith as well. So we'll see what happens. Right, it's all in his hands. It's his plan, and I'm just along for the ride.
With Chance being in and out of the lineup, Jack has had to really step into that starting role. What are you seeing from him as the games progress? Is he becoming more comfortable? Are you seeing that? And also, are the rest of the offense becoming more comfortable with him?
I think he's becoming more comfortable. I still think he's, there's times of struggle of maybe with as much rotation as some teams do, defensively, of him actually seeing it and picking it up. But I think he's getting better with that as we go along. Coach Soto's doing a great job of getting him ready and prepared for that. I think the pressure sometimes as a quarterback of, getting too much from a defensive line sometimes makes him a little bit, skittish in the pocket. But I think he's handled that well. I mean, I think he stood in there as long as he possibly could. I just feel like we need to protect him a little bit longer and give him a little bit more opportunity, to see these things with the amount of experience that we have across the O-line right now and having a younger quarterback in there, the understanding should be that we need to protect this guy and give him a little bit more time because it might take him a little longer to read out his keys than Chance. But I think he's done a great job. The only thing that last week was, the interception that he threw off his back foot. I mean, let's step into that thing. Let's get it out there a little bit farther. And if it just put it in one place where our guy can get it, and if it's too far and it's overthrown, it's overthrown. We still live to play another down. So those are just, a few little things that most freshman quarterbacks are probably going to make. And, he will learn from that mistake and hopefully get better from it. But I still think it just goes across the board that, offensive line, running backs, receivers, tight ends, all still need to do a better job of making his life a little bit easier as well. If we're not all in this together and somebody's not doing their job correctly, it makes it tough on the quarterback. So, and sometimes we're running the wrong routes, and not being where we're supposed to be. And when you're a quarterback expecting the guy to be there, and it messes up your read completely, things just kind of fall apart. So, to me, it's all of us being on the same page and making sure we're doing the same thing and making sure our kids know what they're supposed to do. And it's crazy because in practice it seems like things are going really, really well and guys are doing exactly what they need to do, but then all of a sudden we get to game time and who are these young men? So hopefully we figure out this week in practice and maybe we should just play games instead of practicing. I don't know what to do with them right now, but it just seems like when we get to game times we just kind of fall apart.
Maybe on the same thing, same level as far as seeing the lacking of effort at times, the mental kind of being locked in. What do you guys do to try and overcome that? And is there a added frustration level that it's just not seeming to get across?
Yeah, you get very frustrated. I mean, my first years here, it was kind of the same process, but I knew what we were trying to do. We were trying to build this thing and get it going in the right direction, and getting these kids to believe and have faith in what we've done. I mean, you'd think these kids now would believe and have faith in what we've done because we've done it already. And to me, it's just the work to win. I mean, are they truly putting in enough work to truly win ball games, or are they just thinking that we're going to step on the field and win these games? And that doesn't happen in this conference. If you don't work continuously through the summers and getting yourself better and getting this team better, good things don't happen. Just like I think I said on Saturday after the game, I mean, summers are a huge part of building a program and a huge part of a winning program. 17, 18, we had, 80, 90 kids here in the summer, and probably 60, 70 of those kids were here every single day. This summer we had between 50 and 60, and I think we might have had 10 kids that were here completely through the summer, and you're not going to win conference championships like that. And the sad thing about it is you can't make summers mandatory. So what do? And so sometimes these kids just kind of have it pretty easy. And then, you try to bring guys in and get them ready to play, but they're not quite ready yet. But now you got these, these old upperclassmen that, feel like it's just theirs, and, what are you going to do to me? Especially, I don't know, I don't know if I want to say it like that, but it's just kind of how I feel right now, with COVID, and most of them graduated already, or they just, in here. I mean, what do we do? How do we punish them? I mean, because they've already graduated, they've already done the things they needed to do to be done. And the only thing I can say is, these guys need to grow up a little bit, mature, because life's about to hit him in the face here pretty quick. And you got 5 weeks to kind of start preparing yourself for real life, because in 5 weeks, real life really truly does hit you. So you better be ready for it. So let's start these next 5 weeks of being a real man, moving forward, facing this adversity, and making a change.
Do you think that you'll see a visual manifestation of some of them realizing that?
I hope so. I really do, because right now I see a lot of straight faces and no energy, no excitement, no emotion. And maybe that's the thing of it right now. They realize here in 5 weeks that, life's for real. And maybe they're trying to figure that out, but we all go through that, at some point in our life. But usually you have through the spring still, because you're still trying to finish up school to kind of settle through that. Where, right now in December, when they most of these guys already graduated anyway, it's here. And now it's time to go get a job and start making a living and start taking care of yourself. And so I think just the COVID kind of really messed a lot of things up right now. We're still trying to figure our way through it. And hopefully this is kind of the last year of trying to figure our way through this. And kids really seeing the big picture of things of, what I do now is going to make a big difference in what happens in my future.